Hi guys, it's Jonathan Chase. Cut to the chase. Jane and John cut to the chase. If you want to know where Jane is, she's over there. She didn't know I was going to go live. Come here. Jane is here. She's in a lower chair than me, so I'm going to scrunch down so that our heads are the same height. Otherwise, she looks like she's in the background all the time, and she's not really, you know. Say hello.
Hello.
Right, now, a little bit echo in this microphone. We're using the onboard microphone on the computer, which is a complete and absolute mistake. We should, of course, be using our proper full-time professional snowball-y type thing, but hell, we're not. Jane started talking about the first book that she published. It's called Reading Quietly, an anthology by the Daniel Room Writers in Cornwall, in Falmouth in Cornwall. It's got an ISBN number on the back and everything. And we were talking about this. It's actually on shiny art paper. It weighs a ton. It's a little floppy book with 90 pages. And we were talking about this being the first book that Jane published. When was it published?
1990 something. I think it says inside, doesn't it?
I don't know.
1997.
1997. 1997.
Yep.
Old. She's older than me. She's a whole year older than me, by the way, for another 2 weeks. And and then we're exactly the same age. But
so you think I'm laughing?
Yes.
I am.
Yeah, I'm a toy boy. You wouldn't believe that, would you? So, by the way, if you come in and there's nobody on yet, but if you do come in, make comments. So we were talking about what would you do differently now, Jane, about this book, which is a wonderful collection of short stories, by the way. Jane hasn't yet put this up on Kindle, because if she puts it up on Kindle, it's going to take her years to retype everything because she never kept the original files. But this is the difference between the way we do things now and the way we used to, the way she did things when she first published the book. What would you do differently now?
Well, first off, it was a self-published book.
You'll have to speak up.
It was a self-published book, and not a lot of people did self-publishing books. This was actually just before print on demand started to take off, and we did it because we wanted to. A lot of members in here are actually dead now. Isn't that sad? Yes, it is sad, actually. Some of them died before their time. They're not all dead, obviously. I'm in here and I'm not dead. But I think that many of the people in here were feeling that they wanted to be published in some way. So I said, well, why don't we do an anthology? We'll just do an anthology. We'll get it printed and we'll take it to bookshops. You know, one of our members, Betty, was a librarian, so she said, "Oh, we need an ISBN number. I know how to do that." So she went off and got the ISBN number, and she said, "You'll have to deposit one of these with the British Library." So one of these is in the British Library.
By the way, since 1984, I think it is, if you are published in the United Kingdom with an ISBN number, you are legally obliged to put your book with the British Library. It's the law. You have to do it.
So We got an anthology together of all our bits and pieces. Everybody's writing in here. A couple of our members did the editing because they were obviously good at it. And Marguerite, who is now sadly not with us, she did a lot of work for Collins Dictionary. She used to discover new words and find meanings of them. But anyway, I got a grant from the then Sports and Arts to do the printing.
Lottery funded.
Yeah.
Except it wasn't lottery in those days.
It wasn't lottery, it was pools, I think. Pools.
Was it?
Pools and government, yeah.
Yeah.
And sports, it was called Sports and Arts funding. And we got enough money to do a print run. So we did a print run of 500, I think it was. And some of our members took it around local bookshops and said, would you stock this? And they said, yeah, okay. Whether they sold any, I don't know. I think the 500 books got distributed. I've got a few of them on my shelves at the moment. But anyway, that was my journey into publishing, because it's just something I felt I wanted to do at the time. And that's how we did it back then, self-published back then. In 1997, it doesn't seem all that long ago.
And without the grant, that wouldn't have been doable because it was quite expensive.
Oh, it was 800. We got £800 as well.
Which the equivalent of that would be a couple of grand now.
Oh, at least,
like
yes.
Yeah. Okay, so this is.
So that was Reading Quietly. That was my first publication.
So how would we do that differently now, say with your book or whoever's book? This is Tech Off by Tim Murray. As you can see by the shine, this is a hardback book, not a floppy back book. We do the floppy back book versions as well, and the digital and Kindles and that now. You can see it's got a proper back, so that when people zoom around on Amazon, they can get the detail. It's actually sales copy basically on the back, and the sales copy is there on the back. The ISBN number is now a bar chart as well. You know, the writing in here is about the same as that, but it's much more substantially formatted. It's much better formatted, and the difference now between what we can do for you as a company and what Jane was doing there with a group of fellow writers and fellow friends, you know, is just amazing. So just a tip on how things have changed and how things have changed with us. Now, most of you know us as hypnotists and as hypnosis training, so we do format books in a hypnotic sense and in a hypnotic way. One of our drives is to get the information from the book into the subconscious mind, and the only way you can do that really is to engage the subconscious mind in a conversational mode, because we learn more from having conversations, more from having chats and talks than we do from being lectured at and talked to, which unfortunately is what most books do. Or most books try and tell a story, which is very engaging, but the problem is the story is too long and there's no how-tos in the story, is that your head just zooms off to another place.
Which mine does quite often.
Yes, it does quite often. And it zooms off to another place and goes somewhere else and sort of goes, right. So, anyway, tell the story by all means, but keep that succinct and mix that in with some information for the evaluation part of it. Your attention's split into 5 different places. It's split into observation. It's where you're looking around and you're looking at everything and seeing what's there. It's then you then evaluate that. you then build an expectation from that evaluation. So you evaluate it, you say, well, what are the details of that? How does that work? Right, okay. So because I now know that, I will now think that that is going to happen in the future. You add imagination to that, creation to that, to give it, to put some meat on the bones, and then you take action based on everything else that you've got. And depending on how strong you are, you need to be able to feed all of those things. So if you're thinking about writing a book, be careful that you don't end up with this, because what you end up with is 50 copies still on a shelf, and and no idea on whether they sold any or anything, and no follow up on this at all, none. In fact, like Jane said, most of the writers in that book are somewhere else now. They certainly aren't here. They're the living dead. They're gone. They are living. They're living in this book, but not enough people know about it. So you've got to think full package now. You've got to think of something a little bit more substantial than doing that. And even if you've got a large audience, you know, I mean, Christina's video has been watched 3 million times, just one video on YouTube. Even if you've got a large audience, the book gives you a substantial bedrock of what you can do. If this sounds like a sales pitch, it is. What? Well, we've got to do something, haven't we? We're starting a podcast. We are starting the Jane and John podcast.
We are.
We are. Yes. We don't know why. We've got absolutely no idea why. We're going to be talking.
Well, it'll be more based on conversation, because the value we're beginning to learn the value of conversation.
Huge.
Even putting it in a book has made a huge difference to the actual reviews that we're getting on Amazon for our books. A lot of people are commenting on how easy it was to read, how it was like sitting down having a chat and a cup of coffee with somebody.
Hypnotic.
Which makes it hypnotic, because everybody loves a conversation. I mean, if you're sitting in a cafe and listening, as some people do, to other people's conversations, don't they?
We all eavesdrop. We all eavesdrop.
Because we want to know what's going on in people's heads. You know?
The number of articles that you read that are just basically eavesdropping being reported on. You know, I heard this guy talking about this, or this guy was talking about this. Some of our most popular TV shows are actually conversational shows, you know, where the guests come along, and that's what we're going to be doing on the Cut to the Chase podcast, on the Jane and John Cut to the Chase podcast.
Talk
shows. We're going to do Jane and John talk shows now. We keep changing the bloody title of it. I don't know.
And the other thing that makes it interesting, if you've ever been in a doctor's surgery, dentist surgery, and picked up a magazine, which lots of people do. I mean, some people even buy these magazines and read them. But
I just go in the doctors.
especially in women's magazines, for instance, they always have this bit at the back where they're talking to a celebrity about things, you know. So they'll have a question, and it's written as an interview, you know. And I love reading those.
And an interview should be a conversation, shouldn't it?
It should be a conversation.
It should be a conversation. It shouldn't be just telling people stuff.
No, it shouldn't. No. It should be a conversation. And that's how we're basing everything. Life's a conversation.
Okay, so that's coming soon. If you like that idea, give us a like. And we'll speak with you soon. Bye bye.